action. Well, the action started. We've got Mr. James Stewart trackside.
Hello, Matt.
Hello, James. How's it going on the ground?
Yeah, all seems quite good so far. Today is forecast as the dry day. There's rain incoming at some point tomorrow, I believe. So, waiting to see how much of an effect that has. So everybody getting the dry running that they can in today. We've got time practice 2. We just had the first heat of the front-wheel drive class run. And we're basically going to run through this round, then straight into a round of qualifying. That's all of the track action for today. Should give us some idea. We've had a few rounds of practice, open practice, and then sort of a reseeded practice up already. So usual suspects at the front. You can still see on the screen actually. We're just working on getting that refreshed, but you can see Bruno Coelho in modified, quickest over a 5-minute run. Eric Dankel sort of repeating his great performance from Eigen Schlankel, where you were a couple of weeks ago. Ronald Volker up there as well, Mark Reinhard, Michael Olowski. So usual suspects, usual guys up there.
Excellent. So getting into this final round of practice, tons of people watching online, which is awesome. Stephen RC, bonjour. Travis Carlisle says delayed. Of course, nothing's going to go as you expect. That's never how it is.
It's pretty much running to timetable. So everything is kind of as we expected it. I think guys here at the track are doing a pretty awesome job. It's very, very windy out there as well, actually. That's something we've noticed in practice. Not so much these front-wheel drive cars, but the touring cars, the shape that the body shells have developed into over the past couple of years makes them quite sort of aero-sensitive, and changes of direction to the wind. I don't know if you can see over there on the left of the shot, that blue gazebo. You can see how badly battered that's getting the wind thrown at it. So yeah, that's some sort of really heavy winds out there that are moving, throwing things about quite a lot, and it's affecting the cars out on the track.
And we've got Ash on our main camera at the end of the runway, so wondering if we're going to get any cars taking off down the end of the runway.
Quite possibly. So yeah, that main camera position that we have on screen at the moment, that's where Ash is. That's our moving camera that we have, and we'll be following the track action. We've got here, this is pretty much just underneath me and outside the window of where I can see. This is within the race control hut, so off down the main straight. It's a little bit odd for a European track in that we're running clockwise round the circuit as well. Yeah, it's for any drivers from the UK, it's very normal for them, but yeah, for everybody else, it's a bit of a culture shock. The other thing that's quite odd about this circuit is that the main straight is on the opposite side of the track to the driver's rostrum. More often than not, it's directly underneath you that you're heading down. So just a little bit of a quirks of local tracks for people to use and get used to. You can see some of the cars out there at the moment are still, these are still the front-wheel drive cars, front-wheel drive class as well. Again, if any of you from various areas are watching, this is a little different to some of the front-wheel drive classes. This is the sort of EFRA front-wheel drive class is gear ratio limited. Other places have a speed controller and motor and have a rev limit in place rather than a ratio limit. You'd need to do one or the other. Effectively, they cancel each other out if you do both of them. So just a little bit of a tweak to what some people will be used to used to seeing.
Cool. Our coverage for this event is obviously brought to you by Monaco RC, and we're thanks to Hobby Wing, Tony Sport, Lens Bodies, and X-Ray. It's of course an EFRA event, and we'll be crowning a selection of European champions, European champion, Euro Cup. And what is the front wheel drive? Is that a Euro Cup as well?
No, front wheel drive is a European Championship, so it will be the inaugural European Championship. It's the first time it's been a proper EFRA class. So yes, Formula One didn't attract enough entries to be considered a proper European Championship. So it's being run as a European Cup here this weekend as well, which is it's still a valid title. It just means that there's not the depth of field there to make it a full full competition, or considered to be a full European Championship on there.
Cool.
But,
so obviously, I was thinking for a while this was warm-up laps, but we're well underway, aren't we? I think the timing is frozen. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we're in race control. We have them working on that at the moment to get that feed established and back to us. But yeah, keeping an eye on that. So yeah, still seeing the modified timing appearing on the side of the screen. So this is actually the front wheel drive class that are out there and running. So I haven't got an update as to. I'm trying to think what this is going to be. This will be heat number 3, I believe, of them. Just having a quick look over towards the driver's rostrum, see if there's anybody I can recognise up there to get a clue of where I am. Not at the minute that I can see out there. But yes, this is the front-wheel drive class. So like we said, it's the inaugural front-wheel drive European Championship. That heat's just finished by the looks of it. So everybody pulling off the track. I can see Andy Murray up there now, so that would have been the top heat. Yeah, that would have been the top heat of front-wheel drive. Andy was running around sort of 5th place overall in seeding. So that's just gone out of the way. Unfortunately, we haven't got timing at the moment. We'll endeavour to get that sorted in time for qualifying proper to start, so that we can bring you all of the correct and updated action from there.
Still plenty of people watching online. Phoenix Favoretto says, let's give time to them. Oh, okay. That's people a bit impatient for us to get started, saying let's give them a chance. Yes, please do. And Guilherme W, bonjour, hello, all of our French viewers. Teddy Down says, hey, load of emojis. What else have we got? Model Bow King, hello to you. Jason, hello to you. Thank you for watching. Make sure you comment along in the stream so that we can involve you. This is a group exercise watching these European Championships, so we love having you guys on board. Chris Lemon is watching from Columbus, Ohio, with a big smile on my face. Thanks for doing what you do. It's literally our pleasure. So thank you for watching. Daily Dose of RC. Afternoon, Matt and James. Great shots. Hello to you, Daily Dose of RC. And Bjorn. Hey, Bjorn. Says, hey, guys. Hey, Bjorn. How you doing?
Hey, Bjorn. Not well. Here starting the master clock this weekend, but no, it's all going off. It looks like we've got the front-wheel drive class going out there now. I've just seen Darren Gale up on the rostrum, not front-wheel drive, Formula class. So this is a European Cup rather than a European Championship, but first heat of that going out, getting underway. Again, wind I can see picking up quite heavily out there. It's a crosswind that's sort of blowing as this car that we're watching now comes out onto the main straight. The wind is blowing pretty much pushing the car out to the left of the track, so they'll be quite difficult to get them turned in off the end of the main straight. Front-wheel drive Formula cars are rear-wheel drive cars anyway. You can just see a little bit of reluctance to turn. That tends to be a characteristic of the class anyway. They're quite long for their width, so they initially have a reluctance to initiate the turn, and then they sort of, once they're bit mid-corner, you get a little bit of over-rotation, but everybody managing to get round the circuit at the minute. Just having a look at the timing. Does still look to be stuck at the moment, so we're running a little bit blind as to who we are running with and following. Apologies for that. So we'll, as soon as we do have that, we'll be able to be a little bit more in-depth and involved with who we're picking up, who we're following, who we're running with. Just having a look and seeing on the rostrum. If we can move 2 cars back, I think that's Darren Gale from just from recognising him on the rostrum. So that is a sort of a multi-coloured car. Let me just see if I can pick him up. He is he's the old school Benetton coloured car out there. So he's the. Let's have a look and see if we can direct. There we go. We've got him. So good work there from Ash. Or terrible descriptions from me. Darren's just popped it onto its roof, lands back on its wheels again. Not really got a roof, have they, these Formula cars? Choice of lines coming down the main straight, you'll see from people. Most conventional one is running to the outside of that dotted white line that's out there. A little bit wide on the exit of the corner there from Darren, and a bit of over-rotation on the exit. There we go, and sort of running diagonally across that line from him. But making his way round okay. Car looks a little bit pointy around neutral. Doesn't look like the most confidence-inspiring thing to drive. I think speaking with a few of the drivers trackside, confidence seems to be the buzzword out there. There's plenty of people that look quick over a couple of laps, and we've seen that in the sort of seeding practice, not just in this Formula class, but in the Spec class, the open modified class as well. It's having the confidence just to push that speed on and carry that speed for an entire 5 minutes without making a mistake. That seems to be the difficult thing for people to do. There's plenty of people who are able to hang together a few Hail Mary laps. It's putting together an entire run that seems to be a little bit more difficult for people.
It's ridiculously tail happy, isn't it? It's just...
It is. The Formula cars tend to do that anyway because they're really, really long. They understeer on the way in, and it's really tempting to wind on too much steering lock, and then as the speed bleeds off, the front tyres hook up and it sort of over-rotates on the exit of the corner. So trying to find a balance with them is really the key to being quick with these kind of cars. When we have a look at the top heats in a minute, what you'll see is they're almost using the entry speed to induce a slide in the front of the car, and then as the speed scrubs off, they're winding off the steering lock to so as not to get that over rotation as the front tyre digs in and the front tyre grips. So we're dangerously close to getting into nerdy conversations about the traction circle here. So I'll leave it at that point.
That's why people tune in. That's what they want.
Yeah. So it's a theory about the level of grip that a tyre has, and if a tyre has 100% grip, you can sort of choose how you use that. So if you have, you can have 100% forward drive, or you can have 100% steering lock, left or right, or you can have somewhere in between. So if you're using 50% steering lock, you can only have 50% forward drive applied, or side bite, or or braking force, or any one of those. And when you plot that out, it forms quite a neat circle. It's a bit of a nerdy thing, but it's essentially that's what your that's what the drivers are constantly balancing the cars on, and it's a bit of a tightrope to keep the car just within that circle and not pushing it beyond the point of making the car slide. I think this needs to be a studio chat at some point, Matt, to explain this one through, and we can start drawing. We can start with diagrams and pictures, and lots of things about cars sliding. We can that sounds definitely something that we can get sorted. Just checking timing. Still not seeing an update after the end of modified, unfortunately.
So have they got timing on the timing screens around the track, or is it nowhere?
No, they have got timing on the screens around the track. So it's the
live streaming.
It's the live stream. It's the output to RCM that's the issue. So the local connection is okay. And in fact, from Ash's camera, there is a main screen over on the right-hand side of his shot. There's a very large timing screen. It's to the right of our position of the race control hub. There we go. There's a big overall timing screen. This is what the drivers are looking at. So we can see this is Group 4. Practice 2 running, practice Group 4 round 2. That's up there. So you can see some recognisable names up there. Andreas Stiebel, Valent, David Erbar, Thomas Grenz. So few recognisable drivers. That's not all of the timing information, but this gives us a brief idea of where everybody is running within the heat. That's what the drivers can see to give them an idea of what's going on. Unfortunately, that's not visible from my window, so I can't. Hang on. Looks like we now have some timing. So yes, Andreas Stiebler is leading this one away. It's who we're running with at the moment. So. There we go. We've got timing appearing on the screen. Gergo Valent, Michael Lipperheider, David Erbar, Chris Grenz, and Michael Hauptli. The 6 drivers taking part in this heat. Again, you can see Andreas, compared to the previous heat, we were just talking about the cars being a little bit tail happy. There's almost a little bit more understeer in Andreas's car. It kind of it manifests itself in looking a little bit like you're driving around the edge of a 50-pence piece, and it doesn't flow smoothly through the corner. It sort of steps around the corner. That seems to be working for Andreas. He's comfortably the quickest driver out there. He's the only driver to go sub 16 seconds on a lap. His best lap is a 15.948. His best lap's 15.880. Best lap from anybody else is Gergo Valent, who has done a 16.267. So, like 4/10 quicker almost than anybody else over a single lap. Starting to see, despite there only being 6 cars out on track, so the split being 6 seconds in a 15-second lap. He's already started catching and passing cars out there, so he's caught up like 9 seconds in the first 2 minutes. Give you some idea of the pace. I mean, Michael Hauptli, who he's just come past, his best lap's a 17.1. So that was it's like 1.3 seconds over a lap. So you can see it's quite easy to put a 16 second lap into people over that course of time. It's still practice, though. Still good opportunity for all of the drivers to really keep getting their eye in. They've obviously had a chance to reseed into their heats with these smaller classes. Not necessarily going to see massive jumps up and down the order. The seeding will be relatively accurate from the start. As you get more and more people entering a class, you get sort of much greater granularity, and need to spread that out a little bit, so you're more likely to be out with people that you haven't run with at all. And that's just a matter of scoping out where other people are quick on track, where you're quick on track, figuring out etiquette with other drivers, even down to the point of where you stand on the driver's rostrum. You don't really want to be moving from there once qualifying's started. So it's just figuring out where everybody is, where everybody wants to be, where people are quick, who's quick in your heat, who you need to be keeping an eye out for, who you can pick a toe up from, that kind of thing.
Daily Dose of RC says, are the Formula cars on rubber or foam? And Stefan Rauso says foam. I thought it was rubber. Is it foam?
They are. They look like foam tyres to me. Looking at the size of them, yes, they're foam tyres. Looking at these, the rubber.
I guess
tyres
that's much easier to control than rubber. Is it much more grippy?
They're different. Back to that slip angles thing again, and sort of the traction circle nerdy conversation. Foam tyres have multiple contact patches, so they're certainly more progressive to drive than a rubber tyre would be. A rubber tyre, once you've started the car sliding, it's quite difficult to get it back. With a foam tyre, it's much more progressive, and it's easier to catch when it does start sliding. So it's the only class running on foam tyres. Everybody else is on rubber tyres. Either the modified. There was a change to the control tyre after practice, after the warm-up meeting here. There was a material shortage that was identified, and the manufacturer wasn't able to supply a necessary quantity of tyres. They did the right thing. They flagged it at that point that it was going to be an issue for them, and consequently we've got a different control tyre for modified. Potentially, though, we're going to be looking at using wet tyres for a lot of the weekend.
Right. Tyres have been a bit, maybe too much of the story for this championship over the last few years. Do you think that's there's danger that could be the case again, or do you think we might be over that now?
It's always really difficult. I think with I think if anybody. Whenever there's a control tyre, I think if anybody doesn't get the result that they were expecting, the tyres are an easy thing to point to. There's something that it's an element of the driver's package that they can't control. That's being given to them at random. So, it's a really difficult one. I think the best way of dealing with it is having, we've got a tyre supplier that's not associated with a manufacturer in any way. That probably removes a lot of the tinfoil hat sort of feelings. It's not that they're perfectly valid, because that's how people think and how they feel. It's a perception thing. But yes, if you're running on a tyre that's in some way aligned to a chassis manufacturer, it's always going to evoke those feelings that some people have got an advantage, regardless of what the tyre manufacturer does to get around that. It's an unavoidable consequence, I think, and the best way round it is to not use a tyre that's aligned to a manufacturer in some way.
Daily Dose says, was James a diplomat in a former life?
Yeah, what do you mean, possibly?
No idea. Anyway.
We
Not
are.
sure.
What have we got? So we've got the first heat of the Spec class out there on track at the moment. So who have we got? We've got Viktor Litvinenko, Zeljko Selman, Andrew Walters, all the way from Scotland. That's a bit of a drive from those guys. Laszlo Kiss-Orban, Vittoria Fendley. We have got Peter Knudsen. We've got Yaroslav Chris, and we have got Sindrik Damir out there on track at the moment. We are running with the lead car of Viktor Litvinenko at the moment. He is the blue and yellow car, running quite comfortably up front. Let's see if we can pick up the 5 car of Zeljko Selman. See if we can spot where he is. I think he's the all orange coloured car that's just headed down. He's just heading under the driver's rostrum now. There we go, we've got him. So this is the second place man. It's a little bit of push on the exit of the corner there. Again, that's a bit of a confidence thing. This is a very, very flowing circuit. Quite a lot of high-speed stuff. I mean, we were discussing yesterday. I was having a quick chat with Andy Murray, and we were saying with the formula, with the front-wheel drive class, sorry, it's almost possible to do a lap flat out. It's not the quickest way round, but you can probably do an entire lap without lifting. You see the car sort of wandering around a little bit there. I think that's really as a result of the wind just picking up. What we were saying earlier about these sort of latest generation of touring car body shells. Heading around quite nicely now. So he's got himself in front of Zeljko on the split, by the looks of that. Still running. Yeah, you can see they're very, very close on time. In fact, something funky's gone on there. I think. Not quite sure how that's happened. I think Zeljko's gone first. Oh, mistake there. So really easy to do. Just a little over rotation off the exit of the curb, and dump the car onto the grass. Back out and running now. It's all good. So, anybody mentioning anything in the comments, Matt? Any sort of any feedback from people, or anything they want to know before we get into qualifying proper? It's now's a good opportunity to run through anything that people might want to catch up with, might want to know.
Yeah, I just lost all the comments. I had loads of comments here, and where have they gone? They've all gone. Live chat. Hang on. Hold the line, caller.
Okay, it's not a problem, but obviously the other thing is everybody knows, you don't want to win practice. Winning practice is fatal. I made that error at the 12th Euros at Eastbourne earlier in the year. I won my practice final, and then it didn't go particularly right for me after that. I managed to scrape a win in the second leg, but yes, the first leg and the last leg were self-inflicted disasters. But,
well, I lost all the chat. There's chat in there.
There's chat in there.
There's chat in there. But it's gone for me. Very strange. But anyway, we'll bring that chat back, of course. You're watching the EFRA 1/10th Track European Championships, crowning 3 champions this weekend. Currently watching the final round of practice before qualifying starts in a bit. Weather looks pretty good now, but we don't expect it to stay that way. This stream is brought to you by Monaco RC, and we thank Hobbywing, Tony Sport, Lens Bodies, and X-Ray for their support in making this stream even better. That banner on the rostrum looks pretty awesome. We were here in 2019, weren't we, for Nitro 1/10th?
Was it 2019 or was it 2018? It was a few years ago. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago that we were here. Got a feeling it was 2018, possibly. But anyway, yes, that's semantics. But yes, it's traditionally more of a nitro track. The big thing I remember was Dominic Groner, and you finding it quite amusing when I commented that he'd made the race very boring for us, because he just disappeared off into the distance and started lapping the field at before the first round of fuel stops. This, of course, is Dominic's home track. And he's not racing this weekend, but he's putting something back into the sport. He's out there in helping out in tech, believe it or not. So Dominic is probably one of the quickest drivers out there in this particular around this particular track, and he's out in tech. He's not racing.
I said to him, because he was obviously featured last weekend in Portugal at Villarreal for the 1/8 track Euros. Yes. Said, "Are you going to be trying your hand at some electric?" But as you say, he said, "No, I'm going to be helping the club." So
so it's nice to see, absolutely. It's nice to see people, drivers, putting something back into it, and that's really good to see. That the drivers of that standard haven't forgotten where they've come from, and are still willing to put some stuff back into it. I think this is the 7 car that we're running with at the moment, which is Fran Ivan Skoric. We'll just confirm that as he comes past. Yeah, it is the 7 car. He's currently running in 5th position in the heat. We've got Niklas Storm, the German driver, leading with the number 3 car. I'll see if I can spot him out there. That's the 8 car, and the car we were following has just popped itself on its roof. So a couple of minutes to go. Let's see if we can spot our leader. There's the 8 car. There's the 3 car. So it's the white car with the red base on the doors. It's a couple of cars back. There we go. So good work from Ash there. This is our leader, Niklas Storm. I would say German driver. Tempting to say he's local, but obviously this is one of the tracks that German nationals fairly regularly held upon. German national meetings. So you'd hope that some guys would have a fair bit of experience here. This car looking pretty decent though. Transitioning off of the curbs quite nicely. A little bit locked in and sort of hesitant some of those slow corners. It's really good. Looks very confidence inspiring in the high speed stuff. Just as we come round here, this is absolutely fine. It's some of these low speed corners that was better. It just looked like he was having to wait to pick up the throttle. Didn't look like the car wanted to completely finish off the turn at that point. It's okay. I mean, it will get you around the track very, very consistently like that. It's just you might just miss out that last little bit of pace and potentially leave the door open a little bit when it comes to qualifying. Niklas, though, with a minute and a half left. Still looking pretty good out there. Jeremy Delalondre looks like he has retired fairly early in this one. Still running with Niklas Storm at the minute. Kevin Schmid with the 4 car. I think he is the all-red car. He's just about to come out onto the main straight. No, that's the 8 car, actually. That is, let's pick him up anyway, Simon Horak, the all-red car. There we go. Well, it looks like he's got a white stripe down the roof. So Simon's car, kind of the polar opposite to Niklas's car. It looks quite a lot more leery You can see he's done a faster best lap time. He's done a 14.29 compared to Niklas's car. Looked a little bit more steady, having done a 14. He's done like a 14.35. So a very, very slightly faster lap in Simon's car that we're running with at the moment. But you can see that over rotation, that snap-on exit, that's pretty scary to drive, and it's quite hard work to hang on to for 5 minutes. You'd probably see, when you're driving a car like that, you're edging up on the car in front of you, and over 5-6 laps, you just see them coming, closer to you all the time. And then just one mistake, bang, you get on the throttle a little bit early, car steps sideways on the exit, and all of that time that you've just gained straight out the window. It's really frustrating. I've been on both ends of that before, so yeah, it's not ideal, but that is the end of that heat.
Plenty of people asking where they can see the results. Well, you can see the results on my RCM. We've pinned the link in the YouTube stream. If you're watching on RC Racing TV, you'll see the pinned result there. But if you go to myrcm.ch, it's on the first page. You're looking for the Türkheim track. And yeah, they are live now, live streaming the results. And you can see the timetable in there as well. Don't expect it to stay how it is, though. It'll change because the rain apparently is coming. Anyway.
Yes, I think we're okay. We're forecasting okay today for the rain. There was talk of 2 rounds of qualifying today, and sort of shunting around a practice out of the way, but that went out the window in the team managers meeting earlier. So we avoided that, and we've ended up with a normal, sort of fairly normal 1 round of qualifying today, and then hopefully 4 rounds of qualifying tomorrow. We have kind of managed to confirm that they're going to treat each class as an individual round. I was trying to sort of the rule book's a little bit unambiguous about that, or sorry, a little bit ambiguous about that. In when it considers a complete round, but effectively once we've got the fronties out the way and it's dry, that's considered a complete round for them. It doesn't really matter if it's wet for the modified class. That seems the sensible way to do it. So
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what we'll be looking for when stuff starts, and they'll be looking to get hopefully, hopefully we'll manage to get away with it being dry tomorrow morning, and we'll at least have something sort of representative. If it's wet for the finals, if it's inconsistent for the finals, it doesn't matter. There's no bump ups or anything like that in electric racing, so no need to worry about. You've only got the track conditions that you're in to worry about. It's when it's round by round qualifying with slightly inconsistent track conditions, and you're worried about the guys that were out 2 heats earlier, the guys that are out 3 heats later. That's when it becomes a little bit problematic and a little bit scary. Just seen the car that I'll pick up his number this time round that we're running with. So that was the 3 car, Maxime Ripoll, French driver, popping his car onto the grass. Enzo Rousselin. In fact, we've got 3 French drivers at the front of this. Enzo Rousselin leading from Adrien Violette. Maxime Ripoll in 3rd. So let's see if we can find the 6 car out there. You can see Ripoll's just popped it on the grass. They have just put
just put that fence up, and
they have literally just
on the wrong side of it.
Yep, that's exactly why they put that fence up there, to avoid anybody coming out. Oh, that's not gone well. That's a series of collected cars, and there's a car been placed on its side. Someone will be doing the step back of shame on the rostrum. where you take one step back, look dejectedly down as your transmitter as you turn it off. But that's all good. We're going to try and find the 6 car, won't we? He's just on the main straight now, the sort of pink roof, green rear. There we go. Just picked him up on the kind of Masami-esque body shell. Car looks like it turns pretty tightly on the exit of turns. I can see why he's able to do some quick laps. His best time, in fact, 14.065. Next best time in the heat is a 14.2. So really, really quick individual lap. Again, it's probably a little bit on the axe murdery side, but holding a really tight line there off of the bottom of the sweeper, or the second sweeper. There's 2 fast corners here that sort of bank round, and the banking pulls you in. Again, I can only sort of relating it to corners in the UK. Certainly this one there off the end of the main straight. It goes on a little bit longer, but it's kind of like Mendip would be, like driving round it would be. It's sort of put it into banking, and you're using the banking to make the car turn. The angle of the banking, you're not steering as much as you think you would need to, just to keep the car down and keep the car flat. So very, very niche reference there to tracks that I'm familiar with driving, but it's in general any bank turn. It's quite difficult. I think if it's going to be dry all weekend, we'd probably see tyres and positioning of tyres when you're running new tyres, when you're running old tyres. There's quite a big drop-off because you've got a flat-out sweeper off the end of the main straight that's constantly tightening in radius. The front left tyre takes a hell of a beating. There's quite a big step between brand new tyres and used tyres that you get out there. You'll see quite a step, and it should be fairly obvious. If it's wet, obviously all of that goes out of the window.
We're back.
We are back, yes, indeed. So, just hearing a brief message from our sponsors. But who have we got in this? Heading out, we've got Manuel Wagner, Orlando Fenley, Yasmin Donath, Boris Soladi, Gergo Valent, Philip Lishka, Sinan Kaptan, and Darko Meister. Manuel Wagner leading away in the front of this. So he is the all-white coloured car. There we go. And that's was quickest in the first practice. Again, car looks pretty decent out there. He's obviously got some good lap speed in it. He is, Gergo Valent is the one who's managed to go sub 14 for the first time with the number 6 car. I'll see if I can pick him up. Number 6 car he's another all-white car. He's just off the end of the main straight now. See if we can pick up. Here we go. This is Gergo's car. So all-white cars seem to be the order of the day at the front of this. Some not hugely imaginative colour schemes. It's a Juan Can special.
Something about Formula One, those cars, the F1 cars, they feel compelled to make a bit of an effort with their paint schemes, but the TC guys, not so much.
Yeah, I think that's probably a function of you see this a little bit as well with the off-road cars, where anything that has exposed wheels, the body shells are a little bit more protected, so they tend to last longer. With a touring car, with a 12th scale car, something like that, the body shells are relatively disposable. Everybody will have race paint, but certainly for practice, you possibly don't want to be using it. It's just, if you want to know whether a shell's any good or not, you just paint it one colour. There's no point in having someone paint up your proper colour scheme, spending all of that money just on a shell that you might use once and think, nah, that's not what I need to use. So that's why you see that more often than not. They will have race paint, but just put it on when they're a bit more sure that it's what they want to be running.
Just out of interest, some of these more elaborate paint schemes that people have done professionally by RC body painters, what kind of costs can people be paying for their the really elaborate paint schemes?
Well, I mean, body painters, they're always, I think they're really underpaid for what they do. It depends on how they do it as well. Whether it's some of them are kind of fairly unique each time and do it by hand. They'll put a liquid mask on the inside of the shell. They'll draw the design that they want on there, and then spend ages cutting it out, airbrushing the paint on. Others will, if they've got a vinyl cutter, will maybe have a set of stencils, which obviously makes it kind of easier to mass produce stuff, because then you can just lay those, print multiple copies of the stencils and put stuff in there. Typically, though, for a race painted shell, you're looking at normally between sort of £50 and £75 for a touring car body shell.
That does seem cheap.
Would be fairly normal for the effort that goes into it. That's minus the body shell itself. You'd have to provide the body. So yeah, when you start sort of mentioning that you're, between £75 and £100 worth of body shell in total out there, you can understand why people want to preserve them. When you can just fire a single can of paint over it just to preserve it. Clearly, some people have painters as sponsors, get stuff at less than that. Some people, have if you have a bulk set of body shells done, it costs a little bit less, but that's why. And you can justify that, if you're using one body shell a year, you can justify that quite easily to have that done and painted something really recognisable. It's a little bit harder to do if you're if you're racing regularly and you're going through a body shell every 6 weeks or so.
Well, I don't think a body shell of mine would last one meeting. But
yeah, it's you can guarantee you put a plain white body shell on there. You'll hammer around in practice. You won't touch anything. The first corner that you get to with race paint on, it's on its roof. It's sliding down it. It's got gravel rash on there. It's inevitable. But you just know it's going to happen. So That's it's a known, it's a thing. So penultimate heat by the look of it. Enrico Jung, he'll be interesting to watch out for. His cars look super fast at the start of a run. Maybe faded a little bit towards the end of it. It'll be interesting to see what he manages to put together over 5 minutes. Not quite sure he's got the... I mean, he looks like he's got prodigious horsepower at the start of the run, and I think he might be potentially a little bit optimistic on either the timing or the gearing to get to the end of 5 minutes without experiencing fade and having your pace drop off. It's a really weird compromise. It's so easy to get sucked into chasing lap times, and your best lap does get quicker when you crank the timing too much, when you overgear the car. It is faster at the start of the run, undoubtedly. I mean, we're watching it here. Enrico's car. We'll just watch it. I mean, the launch that it has, it's one of the few cars that kind of physically lurches as it accelerates off the corner. Compared to other cars, it's like really rapid. You can see as it heads down, it just sort of tucks it inside that other car there. He can put the car anywhere he wants. Looks really super nice to drive, super tractable. Just not completely convinced he's got the balance of that 100% where he needs to have it. But hey, what do I know?
Enough.
Well.
Noob is saying, does a shell really make that much difference to the way it handles?
Yes, body shell can make a huge difference to the way that a car handles, and the mounting of a body shell, believe it or not. So you'll speak to people sort of, and they'll say, you know, they have a +3 body shell, a minus, you know, a +6. What that's referring to is from a datum, typically the front, like the centre of the front wheel arches, compared to the front axle centre line, how far forward you mount it. So when you mount it forward, I'm going to go nerdy again, Matt. We should have an alarm for this. It moves the centre of pressure forward, which is kind of, if you imagine a point that the front of the car turns around, and as you move the shell forward, like the point that it pivots around moves further forward, and it can make a huge difference to how the car feels out there on circuit. Mount a body shell too far forward, and you definitely feel it's pretty scary and quite difficult to hang on to. And one too far back, and yeah, it's just a boat. It won't turn at all. So that's interesting, interesting stuff. Or not interesting to probably a lot of people. I've probably sent most of the viewers to sleep talking about stuff like that. Is this still the 2 car that we're following? It is. He's been on his roof a few times. But fastest lap out there, yeah, 13.8. And like next quickest car is 14 flat, which is Jesper Rasmussen. He's the Enrico's off again. Again, this is probably why he's in this heat and not in the top heat. He's definitely got the pace over a single lap to not look out of place in the top heat. It's just it's too hard to extract that pace from it consistently over 5 minutes. If he can get that back, and you know, maybe if his best lap goes from a 13.8 to a 13.9, it probably doesn't matter if he can put together, you know, 10, 13 nines in a row, that's much better than doing a 13-8 and then a 15-0 because you've just binned it on the grass because your car's a little bit scary. So trying to strike that balance. Most people who have seen me drive will currently be stifling laughter, knowing how ironic it is, talking about having nice, safe cars that are super consistent, because it's not something I'm exactly known for. But there you go. It's yes. If I could drive as well as I could talk, I'd be up there with a transmitter. Yeah. If I could drive, there's a metaphor for. Last 20 seconds or so for Enrico. He's still at the top of the screen at the moment. The reason he's up there on showing 17 laps but still top of the screen, this is showing fastest. This is sorted by fastest time at the moment, or fastest consecutive laps in practice. When we get to qualifying proper, it's into proper FTD. So we've seen the number of times that he's been in. Upside down and on his roof in the grass. Tested the coefficient of friction of Lexan body shell against tarmac. He's not gonna be up there challenging for an overall fast time over 5 minutes. So I think we're just about to watch the top heat of Spec go out. Which will be heat number 10. There we go. So Simon Lauter, to be honest, he's looked a little bit of a step ahead of everybody else. Jan Rathajski he's looked like he's got single lap pace to match Simon. Again, Simon's car just looks like he's at 95% to do that speed. Jan looks like he's absolutely maxed out at the minute to do it. Max Mackler, he's been similar. Maybe he's doing a similar sort of run time to Jan. Not as quick over a lap. Having had a quick catch up with him, he's running exactly the same setup as Simon. He's just been fairly blunt and honest that Simon's driving better, which is quite refreshing to hear from even top guys that just say, yeah, you know what, he's driving better than I am. He's practiced a bit more round here, and yeah, he's flat out driving faster, which is it's just very honest. So front three have gone away. Simon Lauter is leading this one. Simon's car looks really, really nice to drive. Just doesn't look like it's got any real vices. It just, having said that, he's just spun it, hasn't he, right in front of us on the camera. That's commentator's curse. So that's going to put Jan to the front. Let's see if we can pick him up. Jan is the number 1 car. Let's see if we can find him. He'll be the white, orange and black coloured car. So he's a couple of cars back from you, Ash. There we go. He's the one that's just had a car spin in front of him. So this is Jan Rathajski. And he's just pulled it into the pits, and Max has just spun into the pit lane, and no one wants to win it. Oh, okay, so that was Jan had a body tuck. So Max has hit the front now. Certainly in terms of the overall run, Max is the orange car, sort of one in front of Jan's. So just moves out of the way. Max a little bit more comfortable following and chasing down Jan. I think he was a little bit prone to overdriving it in a few corners in free air. Jan's car looking pretty decent. He's currently quickest over a couple of laps as well. Simon now back in front of them on the track. So after his earlier spin, Simon's now starting to lay down some pace. Simon is... where is he? Simon's best lap is a 13.747. Ollie Boltink actually up into third at the moment with a 13.6. Ollie is the number 3 car, so I think he was the all-white coloured car from memory, pulling up the line. Let's just see if we can find him. He's just coming past us now, so he's the white car on the main straight. There we go. This is Ollie Boltink. He has got the fastest individual lap with a 13.667, about a tenth up on anybody else. Can see, looking at other guys in this heat, we were saying, you know, Enrico Jung had in the heat earlier was doing 13.8. We've got guys in this heat not being able to go sub 14. So Enrico definitely having the pace to have got himself up here. Will be kind of kicking himself that he hasn't quite managed it. Hasn't managed it as yet. Jan just threads his way past Ollie. In fact, that was Simon rather than Jan. So that's Simon Lauter. Let's pick him up and run with him a little bit. So one car in front. There we go. Let's shift the focus. No, it is the one car. It is Jan. Oh, I thought it was. Out of there, his and Simon's car. Oh, there we go. Jan just pops it on its roof just as we try and pick him up. So we've got a bit of a replay there. Let's just watch this as they come off the sweeper. What's he done? So it's really just too much lock and too much curb, and it's just sort of hopped up onto the outside of the tyre, and it's just dug in and over he's gone. Really easy to do. Ollie Boltink still running in third position. We're running with him at the moment as we come towards the end of the run. Got, what have we got? Yeah, that's the end of that heat. So Jan Rathajski quickest over a couple of laps over the course of the run. Where are we? Yeah, it looks like Simon Laut has just got that over Ollie Boltink. And actually Christian Donath's up there as well. So those are the only guys making it onto 22 lap runs over 5 minutes. We saw Jan pop the car onto its roof. So we'll see how that plays out in overall qualifying in a little bit. We're on to modified now, so these will be super fast, and the wind is going to be, it's going to have a big effect on these guys. So I don't know if you can quite get a sense of how windy it is out there, Matt.
Yeah, definitely. See the flags cracking, see the flags picking up. It's still lovely blue skies though, really looking forward to getting into modified. Thank you for watching, everyone. You're watching the EFRA 1/10th Track European Championships 2023. We're coming to you live from Türkheim. We're RC Racing TV, and this is an EFRA event, and it's brought to you by Monaco RC. And so thank you to Hobbywing, Tony Sport, Lens Bodies and X-Ray for your support of this event. I'm getting it wrong. We're actually crowning 4 champions in this event with Mod, Spec, F1 and Fronty.
Yes, although technically F1 is a European Cup rather than a European Championship, so we will
but
crown...
they're still champions.
They
are
are,
cup
yes.
holders? Are we calling them cup?
Yeah,
3 champions and a cup holder.
Yes, that sounds that sounds right. Yeah, that's closer to the mark. Modified cars just getting themselves out onto circuit. Track's been evolving quite a lot as well. I think after some rain, because this is a predominantly nitro track, one thing that we will want to watch out for, if it rains, we're going to see it'll be very, very slippery on the exit of any sort of slower corners, any hairpins that we get. Look at the speed of these modified cars. These are hugely fast that they've got now. So kind of unlimited power. In the case of some drivers, limited talent, which is why they're not going. They're not managing the same sort of times. Give you an idea. The top stock guys were doing 13.6s, 13.7s as a best lap. None of these drivers have yet gone sub 14. So 14.171 is the best lap time. And in fact, Tim Coman and Jose Pereira have both done an identical fastest lap time of 14.171. So 2 completely different cars, completely different drivers, and they're identical over a single lap. That's quite impressive. We'll start picking up a little bit more of sort of tracking what's going on during qualifying when that starts. We've got another couple of heats. So heat 13 is the top heat of modified. You can see some of these where ambitions overcoming adhesion, I think, on corner entry, and you get into some fairly entertaining shapes that some of these guys are throwing at the moment. But everybody keeping it circulating. Heading around the track. We've got Dai Sakaguchi. See if we can find him in the number 3 car. Where is Dai's car? So he's pretty easy to spot. He's the fluoro yellow, fluoro orange, and plain red. Not quite sure where that combination's come from, other than whatever the remnants of any cans of paint that you happen to have left in the garage.
From the 90s.
Yeah, we've all been there. So that's like global hypercolor. Looking at, although it probably doesn't change colour when you grab hold of it. It's like age yourself in one, show your age in one conversation. But everybody Dai's getting around pretty decently out there. It's that's a pretty lurid colour combination, in fairness. But hey, it's distinctive. It's visible. It's visible. Everybody knows where they're at and who's driving what. That's the main thing.
We'll have you judge the concourse competition after the opening ceremony tonight.
Yeah, there's that's really difficult, because if you've had a body shell painted by a professional compared to someone who's, it doesn't quite look as good, but they're the one that's put in the time and the effort. How do you judge that? How do you is it where's the value in just buying something off the shelf that it looks fantastic, and I can't criticise it. I do it. I can't paint my way out of a paper bag. More than one colour is very optimistic for me. I normally go for white backed with white fading into white with white flames down the side of it. Sort of that's
right,
my
white flames.
Yeah, white flames is my fairly standard colour scheme. If I have to paint anything myself, I'm very fortunate that yes, I have people who are very, very talented at painting body shells that manage to do that for me. But yeah, it's if someone's put in the effort to paint one themselves, full respect to them. So that's good to see. Enrico or Dies getting the car around. It's the one car that's moved to the lead at the moment of Jose Pereira, though we're just coming to the end of this run. Time expired, so Jose gonna take the quickest time over a couple of laps. Again, these guys not matching the overall times. In fact, Jose's just gone very, very slightly quicker, despite all of that extra power with the modified. He's only gone like 2 seconds quicker than Simon Lauter went with a stock motor in the last heat. So absolute power corrupts absolutely, I believe, is the saying. It's penultimate heat coming up now, heat number 12. So we're going to have Robert Peach, Oliver Havranek, Marco Kaufmann, Antoine Brunet, Yuri Weisin, Michele Manzo, Dimitrios Yanidis, Benjamin Jabira, Matthias Knopp, and Thomas Veltzig.
And just to let you all know, this is still practice. Qualification 1 starts at 18 minutes past 5 local time and will run right the way through to just before 7 o'clock. And then that will be us done for the day, the opening ceremony, of course. But one round of qualifying and then an action-packed day of qualifying all day tomorrow.
That's what the timetable
Hopefully.
says, yes. Obviously, that's subject to change as of the team managers meeting tomorrow morning. Technically, there's supposed to be a round of practice tomorrow morning. Whether that gets shortened, I would think, if the conditions have changed, they'll still want some practice. To be honest, the best thing probably that we can hope for, if it's going to rain, is that it rains consistently all day, and that the track is just completely saturated.
That sounds nice.
If you went out there and asked the racers what they wanted, they would, given that choice, they either want it dry all day, they want it, soaking wet all day. What they don't want is having it, it's sometimes wet, sometimes dry. What's quicker, what's not? That's what introduces random results more than anything else. It's having consistent conditions is really what they'll be wanting. Of course, they'll be wanting it to be dry all day. If it is, great, fantastic. Just seen someone lose it off the end of the straight there with the kind of reverse golf colour scheme. See who that is as they come past. Let's just pick up. They've helpfully got no numbers on the car either. So they'll have an irate referee, no doubt, having a chat with them. Yuri Weisin is leading this one with the 8 car. Let's just make sure that wasn't the 8 car. I don't think it was. So the 8 car is on the main straight now. He is the white, blue and orange, and he's just put it on its roof and hit the fence. There we go. There. So commentator's curse. He's made it nice and easy for us to pick him up. But just checking that the car still feels okay. Not twisted, not bent, not tweaked. Yeah, seems okay. So 3 minutes left. Yuri gets back on it. Ollie Havranek. You've got Robert Peach in this one as well. So, Robert will be a very accomplished driver himself, and sort of multiple European champion, but also the designer of the car he's racing. And we'll be watching a couple of his guys in the next heat as well, while he's out there marshalling, seeing what's going on. That was quite a lot of closing speed there. I was kind of expecting a marshal to be out there with a leaf blower, sweeping up the remnants from that. But you can see the confidence he's got in the car just as he pitches it in off the end of that. Let's see if we can find Ollie Havranak as well with the number 2 car. Just keeping an eye out as they come past. Oh, 2 is the... Let's have a look. He's actually a very, very similar coloured car that is... yeah, he's a couple of cars forward of where we are at the moment. So the 2 car is just coming out onto the main straight now. So there we go. He's just gone. It's 1 car forward of that. There we go. That is Ollie Havranak. So on screen looks pretty similar. It's maybe a little more orangey at the front. 1 minute to drive. Let's see if we've put the commentator's curse on him. Yeah, that was quite a lot of curb there, but he got away with it. He's caught and past the blue car with the orange wing, who wishes to remain anonymous. He's pulled a fairly big lead already. So you can see the car getting a bit of a speed wobble on there as he went down across the sort of straddling the dotted line on the straight. Let's see if he manages that again. There we go. Nice, and yeah, that was kind of inevitable. That was building up the confidence, but to some degree that's what practice is for. He knows how much he can push it. He's got pace in the car over a couple of laps. He's made it through for a 23 lap run. So quickest we've seen so far. Sure, that's about to be blown, not completely out of the water, but guys in the next heat, particularly with a little mistake like that at the end as well, should be sort of getting in for a 23 in. I would imagine you'd see probably a 23. What was that from Ollie? 23 in 9. Yeah, you might see a 24, maybe, if one of these guys puts in a clean run. Potentially what we're going to be looking for. So drivers just being called for the stock class to pick up their qualifying tyres. And they'll be getting set to collect and go out there. Bruno Coelho then will head out first. From Eric Dankel, Ronald Volker, Mark Reinhard, Michael Orlowski, Alessio Menicucci, Alex Hagberg, Tim Wahl, Remy Callens and Christopher Krapp. So Bruno away in front. Bruno running plain white body shell. Eric Dankel looking like he's got some fairly serious pace. 1 car back from him as well. And Eric, in fact, quicker over previous lap. Eric was right up there a couple of weeks ago at the ETS round that we helped to bring you coverage of. You can see Eric pushing Bruno round. Eric's car looking pretty leery, but he's got some serious speed in that car. So if Eric can hang on to this, he's looking in a really good position. Michael Olowski currently running in 3rd position, but it's watching at the moment, just seeing Eric Dankel have a bit of a tow round from Bruno. Bruno's going to be wanting to escape from that. Not necessarily going to be wanting to open up and let Eric through. Eric is in front anyway on the split, so he started out 1 second behind him, and he is very much less than 1 second behind him on the track. They head off down the main straight. We've got Ronald Volker now in 3rd position from Michael Olowski. And they're actually looking like they're going to smash the 24-lap runs. Currently, they're sort of predicting 24 in like 308s, 309s. So looking, massively, massively fast. We're seeing some 12-second laps out there. I mean, Eric's done the fastest with a 12.552. We've got Bruno's done a 12.587, so very, very close. So we're then down into 12.6s with Ronald, Michael Olowski. But you can see still these two going at it. So this is quite... I mean, to some degree, Eric probably doesn't want to get past Bruno. He's quite content. He knows he's operating within the split. If he can do this in qualifying and just sit there on his bumper, not needing to pass him, and just, that's a surefire way to get a round win, or a really high score in a round. If you can tag onto the back of Bruno and beat him, finish in front of him on the split, you're not going to be far off of the top. And believe, Bruno's just put the car on the grass as well. So Bruno very definitely trying out there. We're still running with Eric Dankel, who is, I don't really know how to describe that colour. It's kind of like it's like a custard yellow. It's it's not. It's not. I mean, it's different. It's one colour. It's not plain white. That's for sure. It's
canary. Is it canary?
It's not canary. No, canary's much more vivid than that. It's I don't. It's a weird flat. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we describe that. So anybody who's familiar with different shades of yellow, suggestions, please. We'd love to hear that from you.
Put your Pantone numbers in the chat.
Yes. So we are getting very, very nerdy for a Thursday afternoon, aren't we, Matt?
That's how we like it.
That's how we like it. That's what. If we move one car back, we've got Ronald Volker sat behind him. Ronald's running race paint. Ronald's running his familiar. He's crept up there on Eric, actually. Ronald at 3rd overall in the heat, maybe not quite as quick as Eric over a single lap, but it's back to that consistency thing again. He's down a 10th on a lap, but is just making his way, making his way forward. Just, I don't want to say plodding round, because it's certainly not plodding, but he's. You expect to see Ronald up there, and we had quite at the Euros last year, quite an emotive chat, I think with Ronald at the end of the run. So good to see him back on form at the Euros. I think, as he mentioned last year, he's always been right up there, and. It'll be good to see him back at the pointy end, not influenced by factors outside of his control. That then is practice done. So we're about to get set for qualifying and get ready to go. So we have timing now. So we will have, for the first round of first heat of front wheel drive, Loris Buchalt, Emily Rathijski, Oliver Heiser, Lennart Buchholz, Suzanne Reiler, Andras Fertoli. We will have Rito Nauer, Svante Rathijski, and Marlon Rathijski.
I wonder who Jan wants to win.
I'm not sure. I'm kind of guessing that Jan's TV's broken a lot. Given that we've got 3 of his offspring in this race, but you're right there, Matt.
I'm good. Yes, I'm good. Lots of people discussing colours. Jason Nichols, 1969 Pontiac GTO was Mayfair Maize, close to the same colour.
Okay, there we go. Mayfair Maize. There we go. That's a.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. So that's
Magnus Berglund says that's when you mix them all that you have left, and put it in the air gun.
Yeah, that's eminently a possibility. Perhaps it was white and he hadn't properly flushed the yellow out before. Maybe. I wouldn't.
Severely off-white.
It is. It's kind of. It's not really eggshell white, is it? It's yeah. I don't know.
Hearing aid white. Is it called hearing aid white?
Hearing aid beige. Right. Is that our challenge? Do we need to find the German equivalent of B&Q tonight and get like a paint colour chart and go and see what colour we can match it with from? Okay. That's our mission. We'll see what we can find. Who have we got then leading this one? Oliver Heiser with the number 3 car. Let's see if we can find these a little bit more sedate, the front wheel drive cars. Let's see if we can spot the 3 car. 3 is the I'm going to say whitey pink and open up a whole new can of worms here. So it's 2 cars back from this one that we're following currently. So there we go. That is Oliver Heiser. Our number 3 car. Obviously these front wheel drive cars nowhere near as much drive and traction. They're limited on power. They're 21.5 ton motors, and they are limited on gearing, so they have a maximum gear ratio of, I believe it's 4.5 to 1, compared to other federations or other groups run the front wheel drive class. I've just seen catapulting down the straight. Slight mistake there, but recovered by I think that was that Alex Hagberg. He's just returning to his marshalling point, but it's other sort of federations run this category at with a rev limit in the motor or in the speed controller rather than a gearing limit, but they both achieve a similar thing or are designed to achieve a similar thing. Just a little bit of a tweak for people to get used to if they're running it. Emily Rathijski's got her way to the front now with the number 2 car. Let's see if we can find her. She's the second of the cars on the main straight now. Let's just see. They've just come off the banking. There we go. So Emily is the second of those cars. And Loris Buchholz is the one in front and leading. So Emily just giving chase. Again, she's just in front on the split. This is what Eric Dangle was doing to Bruno Coelho last time out. There we go. And Emily just slips through on the inside and nearly gets collected by Loris. I think weren't you having a conversation with Jan at some point about how he manages to prepare cars for all of his sort of progeny, and he was saying that he's He's actually taken a bit of a back seat. They're prepping it themselves, and not only that, I'm sure his modified car at ETS was using shocks that Emily had built.
Wow. That's trust. That's good.
Yeah, and he just bolted them on the car, and they just worked. So yeah, he's just training up a whole new generation of fast racers. Coming into the last minute now. Loris Buchholz is still running in second position. Again, we've switched focus slightly over from fast laps. The timing is now reflecting overall times that they're doing. So you can see Emily just popped it on its roof. That might drop her. It has dropped her into second position. She's now 0.8 of a second back from Loris Buchholz. We've got 20 seconds left to go. Loris is the white and green and red car, like 2 cars ahead. There we go. So that is our leader, just as he comes down and makes it onto... No, doesn't make it onto an extra lap. So that roll for Emily Ratajski at the end there, quite costly for her. Dropped by a couple of seconds in the end. Loris Buchholz taking the win. That the last track action of the day for those drivers. Unless they're running in another class as well. That's eminently possible. But last time they will be driving a front-wheel drive car out there. Heat number 2. So 2 heats of the front-wheel drive class. Adam Isay, Daniel Pohlmann, Stefan Schultz, Enrico Jung, Andy Murray, Soren Sparbier, Matteo Buchholz, Sebastian Mederer sounds better. Marcus Buchholz and Stefan Kroner. What's wrong? I did. Yeah, okay. Yes, it's Mederer rather than.
You'll get done for libel.
I know. Well, yeah, okay. He's had a new patio installed recently. So German dominated looking at this field, although we've got Adam Isay.
RC Racing TV hero Oliver Werder saying, afternoon all. Yillis is driving this weekend, but I think Yillis is kind of retired, hasn't he, from this particular class?
Yes, Yillis isn't here. He's not racing this weekend. It's he obviously a
Have we seen him at Euros in 1/10 for a while? Retired.
Well, we saw him at the World last year. He was in Gubbio. I think it depends on how his calendar sort of fits. I mean, he's predominantly a nitro racer. I think if his calendar allowed, he would possibly he would come here and race. Obviously, he was in Villarreal last week, wasn't he?
He was.
So
yes,
that's quite a long time to be away from the family. Sort of two weekends in a row. It's quite intense. You know, it's quite an intense life. Attending all of these European championships.
Just quickly before this, before we get on with this, light yellow, lemon yellow, pale yellow, pastel yellow, honey yellow. They're all different responses from different viewers. But
there's actually another one out there. There's Enrico Jung. He's also running whatever colour it is. He's got the same can of paint. Looking at it, so it's a weird colour. It's very odd. And who have we got leading? We have got Daniel Pohlmann leading this one with the number 2 car. Let's just see if we can spot him. He will be, I'm pretty sure he'll be 1 car back from Adam Isay. Just make sure that we've got him. That's the 9 car that we've got at the moment. So 1 and 2. 2 is the minty green car. Just coming through. No, not that minty green car. There's another minty green car. There's lots of people sharing paint. They're just coming out onto the main straight now. So Adam Isay, followed by Daniel Pohlmann. Daniel is leading this one again on the split. Seems to be, I don't know, there seems to be quite a lot of people running faster when they're behind someone here. Potentially this is the confidence thing, and it's really easy to overdrive a car, I think, when you're the lead car of 2. When you're following, you don't want to run into the car in front of you, so you just back out a little bit earlier, and you just sat in a little bit behind them, not charging your way to the front, and it just helps you eke your way forward. Andy Murray's right in the mix as well, though, along with that. So Andy's out there lapping quickly somewhere. He's a few cars back, although Andy's now dropped down the field. So Andy's made a mistake somewhere. There we go. So Adam Isay opens up and decides to let Daniel Pohlmann have a run at the front of the field. So Daniel now knows he's definitely in front, because he's not only in front on the split, he's in front on the track. He knows that as long as Adam Isay doesn't pass him, then he's definitely got him beat. Of course, it's a really good feeling when you've got 1 round of qualifying at the end of a practice day. It's a really good feeling just to get a good, sensible banker run in. Get that in your pocket. That it just makes it starts the event off on the right foot for you, and allows you to build from there. So that's what they'll be looking for. Just get a solid, steady run on the board. I think they're probably aware that the rain, if the forecast rain turns up overnight, this is certainly going to be the fastest round of qualifying that they do as well. So in the event of any tie-break situation, tonight's round actually becomes pretty important in terms of overall results. In the event of a tie and the faster time coming into it, then having set it in dry conditions, it's going to be pretty important for them. Into the final minute now. Daniel Pohlmann still leading, and Adam Isay giving chase. Soren Sparbeer, in fact, Enrico, no, Soren is running. He started out quite late on the split. I think we've had a possible retirement from Stefan Schultz. Or was it just an incredibly slow lap? No, it's just a very, very slow lap from him. He is still out there and circulating. Now starting to... Well, they've pulled a pretty massive gap over the rest of the traffic. Just looking if there's not really anything particularly close out there. Daniel Pohlmann takes he'll be really happy with that going in overnight. I mean, his best lap time, a 16.188. Next best lap time was Andy Murray out there with a 16.291. So over a tenth in his pocket, and probably the most consistent car. He just missed by 9/10, doing a 19-lap run. So he'll be really happy with that one. And yeah, that's good. That's a nice feeling to go in overnight with. We've got Adam Isay, the Hungarian driver, in second position. Got next the first of two Formula One heats. Michael Hautley, Michael Merker, Aidan Gale, Andy Frattaroli, Rainer Grimminger, and Darren Gale.
You're watching the EFRA 1/10th Track European Championships. We're coming to you live from a temporarily sunny Türkheim in Germany. And this stream is brought to you by Monaco RC. And we also thank Hobbywing, Tony Sport, Lens Bodies, and of course X-Ray. There's lots of shouting going on in there, isn't there, James?
There is, yes. We're in the race control hut, so I think they're just trying to attract the attention of someone trackside. 1 minute until the start. Just drivers getting up there. So first heat of the two Formula heats. So 3 cars have checked in so far, as in they've crossed the timing loop.
Been informed by Victor watching on the YouTube that Issei is driving for Austria, not Hungary.
Oh, okay.
If that means anything to anyone.
Okay.
That's the word on the street.
Okay. He is native Hungarian, I believe, but yes, he may well have sort of signed up using the Austrian Federation. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's traditionally competing as under Hungarian with a Hungarian license. Car setting off. So let's see if we've got this sort of over rotation. Looks like only 4 of the drivers taking the start on this one. So Michael Hauptley and Rainer Grimminger. Neither of them running. This is what have we got? The car of Darren Gale. So this is the car that last time we said looked a little bit leery, a little bit tail happy. An extra hour in the pits doesn't look to have improved it much, if I'm honest. But we've now got. He can just settle into this. Yeah, that looks really, really. I wouldn't want to be driving that. That doesn't look comfortable at all. That's understeer into snap oversteer. That's you'd have zero confidence in what you were doing with that. Let's pick up the 2 car. These Formula cars are a little bit harder to spot the numbers on, but see if we can spot them. That was the 4 car. Here's the 2 car. He's the pink coloured car on the main straight now. So he's just coming off the end of the banked sweeper, and he'll be appearing in this shot. There we go. That is our leader, Michael Merker. Michael Merker leading this one from Aidan Gale. And he's leading pretty comfortably. He's predicted for a time. So in fact, Aidan's now in front of him. So been off the track somewhere. Let's see if we can pick up Aidan. I think he'll be 1 car in front of him then. The 3 car. There we go. Yes, that is Aidan's car. So it still looks quite pointy around neutral, but he's getting it around there. He's about He was getting it. Oh, that was impressive for style points. Managed to pop the wheels onto the grass, but kept it moving. I think really the key to this, to setting a good time, especially with the crosswinds blowing around, is just keep it moving. You've got a good chance of getting yourself into the top 10 in round. Ultimately, that's what they're aiming for. Top 10 going to make up the A final, even if there's only 6 cars in a heat. There'll be some good opportunities to get some good round scores. Maybe takes the pressure off a little bit that you have the opportunity to experiment if you know that you're going to end up in a final anyway, and you're only potentially costing yourself a grid position or two by being a little bit brave on setup choices. That was quite a lot of curb there that Aiden's just taken, but he's managing to hang on to it, still leading.
Got more on the SA situation if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What's the score?
He is Hungarian, of course, but it's just a licensing issue. Other people are thanking Victor for all this insight, and that's right. Max Verstappen is from Belgium, but also drives for the Netherlands.
Yes, absolutely.
There's precedent.
There is absolutely precedent that various drivers choosing to race under different language or under different flags for various different reasons. And yes, so it's been done before that it's federations that you can sign up under. So absolutely, if he's a member and he's qualified via the Austrian qualification method, then absolutely he can enter the Euros. So we've got Aiden has dropped off quite a lot now. He's obviously been off the track. He's just going to sneak through onto a 17-lap run. In fact, Darren's managed to get himself up into 3rd position in the heat. So, despite his car looking like a bit of a nightmare earlier on, it's kind of come good towards the end of the run, and he's managed to pop himself up into 3rd position. So, good recovery there from him. Out of those, so we are missing in the end Rainier Grimminger. Aiden quite considerably faster over a lap than anybody else, looking at that. But going to watch the top heat go out now. 7 cars in this one. So, getting yourself in the top 3 in that penultimate, you've guaranteed yourself a top 10 within round, with there being 2 heats. So that's always a good place to start out in a quest to make the A final. This is heat number 4 of 13 that we have coming up. So this is the last heat of Formula 1 action for the day, this being a European Cup. Andreas Stiebler is going to lead away from Georgo Valent, David Erbar, Michael Lipperheider, Chris Grenz, Rainier Haller, and Michael Freeball. He's managed to get himself bumped up into the top heat for qualifying. Cars released out onto the circuit. This is just their warm-up lap. It's a good opportunity to get a feel really for what kind of car you've got underneath you. Last time you went out on track was with a Formula car was around an hour and a half ago. It's just a matter of easing yourself in, getting a feel for what you've got underneath you and what you think it's going to do. Drivers all up there and focused. Getting set to move off. Andreas Stiebler leads away at the front of the field then. With his fairly traditional sort of green coloured body shell. Some might say forest green, maybe emerald green, but leading away at the start of it. Gergo Valent running in second, so we've had a quick opening lap from Andreas. Andreas' car looking pretty well balanced. It's looking quite nice. Where is he on a fastest lap? He is 15.8. So again, he's the only driver sub 16. Gergo Valent's done a 16.2. It's the next quickest lap. So we're like 3.5 tenths faster than anybody else. This car of Andreas Stiebler. Through that long bank corner. That goes on for a long time. You're steering for an awful long time when you're driving around there, and you're trying to balance the car on a bit of a knife edge between over rotation and just hitting that curb at the end exactly right. That was probably a little bit too much. He took a bit more curb there than he really wanted to. Got away with it. He's got enough in his pocket that he can just back out of it. There we go. That was a little bit nicer through there that time. Just see sort of rotating, sliding the car. Looking pretty good, pretty balanced. Let's see who else is out there. Let's see if we can find the 2 car of Gergo Valent. I believe he will be one car further back. No, not that car. I believe it's the white car on the main straight. Just coming down now. There we go. That's Gergo Valent, the second place driver. Gergo taking quite a different line to Andreas. As we get to the end of the track, we'll see, point it out as we get there. We could see this corner here that we're just coming through. Andreas was drifting sort of quite high and wide and carrying a little bit more speed and sort of running through the middle of that corner. Gergo taking a shorter line but low, so having to scrub off a little bit more speed. Quite interesting to see the difference. You can see he exited that corner on a much tighter line. The car was much further over to the left-hand side of the screen than we've been seeing Andreas's car. So just a very different way of driving, showing that a couple of different lines through there can achieve pretty similar results. Overall, we've got a minute and a half left. Let's see if we can find David Ehrbar, the number 3 car, out there. He's quite possibly one car back. That wasn't particularly helpful. Yeah, David is going to be the white, blue, and black car. That's his normal race paint. He is just coming under the driver's rostrum now. There we go. He's the second of those 2 cars. So this is David Ehrbar. Looks like David's got some good horsepower underneath him. Car looks just a little bit more loose on corner entry. See, he's taking that higher line as well that Andreas seemed to be, or he certainly was that lap. Not sure if that's every lap he's doing that. Let's keep an eye out again. See if that's something he manages. Looking like Andreas Stiebler is going to take this. David Ehrbar now running in second position. We're running with him at the moment as we come into the last 30 seconds. He's some 5 and a bit seconds back from Andreas Stiebler. Andreas should just be able to roll it home here for the round win. "15 seconds, so this should be the final lap now. No, might get an extra lap actually. Andreas is going to make it onto the 19 lap run. David will just... Yes, David's made it as well. So David is... well, Andreas is finished with a 19.305.869. Just waiting for David's time as he crosses the line. So he's like 8.2 seconds, 8.3 seconds further back. So that's quite a big advantage there for Andreas Stiebler over a like a 16-second lap. Effectively, he's half a lap down the road. That's quite a big advantage to have in your pocket. Yeah, that's big. That's useful. So I think he'll be pretty happy with that. And just about to see the Spec class go out now. So Formula class done. We're going to see Andrew Walters, Mark de Witt, Peter Knudsen, Laszlo Kiss-Orban, Sindrik Damir, Jaroslav Kritz, Vittoria Fenley, and Daniel Bergener up there on the driver's rostrum.
So heat 5 of 14.
13, I believe.
Oh. They must have slimmed one out since they made the schedule this morning. But,
yes, since this
cool.
morning, I believe. Let me just check again that it hasn't changed. It hasn't updated. I can. We have the where are we? Heat arrangements for qualifying. Time schedule. Yes, 13 groups. So 13 groups out there. I thought I wasn't going completely mad. We have got 2 heats of front-wheel drive. We have got 2 heats of Formula. We have got, what do we got? 6 heats of Spec? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 heats of Spec and 3 of Modified that we've got out there. So that's what we're looking at. What we have already seen is today. We've seen Daniel Pohlmann taking the first round with in the front-wheel drive class. We've just seen Andreas Stiebler take the first round of qualifying for Formula class. And we're getting set for the first heat of stock now. Andrew Walters leads away. His orange fronted green rear body shell. Definitely no controversy about the colours of that one. They're good solid colours. It's just a solid orange, it's a solid green. We know where we're at with those. Let's see if we can pick him up. He's just under the driver's rostrum now. So he will be, there we go, these are the front 2, and in fact he opens up and lets Mark de Witt through into the lead. Let's pick up the leader, 1 car in front, and oh, Andrew's just had a sort of a half spin stroke clatter over the curb. Mark de Witt leading this one, and he's got quite a big lead already. He has got a like 1.8 second lead after the first minute. So it's pretty good going. Maybe a sign that he didn't maximise the seating position. Got to say, his car looks pretty good actually. Looks nicely balanced. Maybe a little bit of push on corner exit. He's not quite carrying the speed that he'd want it to, but it's okay. You can live with that. That's a nice drivable car. He can work with that. we can do something with it, and we'll be able to pump in quite a decent time. It's always difficult when you're by quite a margin the fastest car in your heat to know where you're gaining and losing time compared to other people out on the track. Your car feels mega. Watching this, I'd say it looks a little bit safe compared to some other cars. You see he's just pushing a little bit wide on the exit there. He's having to wait a little bit to get the car to rotate before he picks up the throttle there. It's really difficult because you're always quicker than your points of reference. He's passing a car there on the grass. Of course, keeping the car on the track, keeping the car moving forwards all the time is most definitely the best way to set the best time. It's pointless having a super fast lap and then spending the rest of the time on the grass. Andrew Walters up into second position. No, he's dropping down the field now because Andrew started out earlier. Bergener looks like he has got some pace as well. So Daniel Bergener with the number 8 car. He started out quite late. Let's see if we can pick up the 8 car. What is it? He's the blue and white car. Just heading round. There we go. The sort of Smurf blue and white car. Traffic's falling quite nicely for him. And in fact, he's not putting Mark de Wit under a huge amount of pressure in terms of overall results. He's 1.7 seconds back, but he's not really lost anything to him. He sort of lost everything in the first minute. And I think Mark de Wit will be quite surprised quite how close Daniel Bergener is to him. Having started off as car 8, he won't necessarily have seen the threat from behind that's looming in his mirrors. And it's taken a little while to update. And some of the guys that started out near the front that haven't been passed on track will be quite surprised when the order gets called out at the end of the run and find out that there's they're a car lower at least than they expected. I'm pretty sure Andrew Walters will be thinking that he's made a mistake. He knows Mark de Wit has passed him, but he'll be thinking in his head probably that he's running second overall. And then he'll suddenly find that the cars from P8 and P5 have got the jump on him on the split, and he won't have clocked where they've come from. 15 seconds. Michael de Wit pretty comfortable out in front. In fact, he's not that comfortable out in front. Daniel Bergener's got that gap down to where was it? It was. It's about half a second now. So the gap coming down, I think it's going to be too late for Daniel to actually nick it. Let's just wait and see as he crosses the line. Yeah, he comes across in second. Yeah, 2/10. Well, in fact, it's just over a tenth at the end of it. So really strong recovery. I think Daniel Bergener's going to probably need to watch out for that one. Mark de Wit's going to want to watch out for that one. You can see 15.0 best lap. Daniel Bergener with some really strong pace right at the end of that run. And now he's starting at the front. He hasn't got to make his way past traffic. So be looking, if we have dry conditions again tomorrow, that we'll be looking for some strong pace from him.
Great to have everybody watching and commenting away on the stream. Great to have good numbers for effectively practice day, but we've got a round of qualifying as well. So understand why everybody wants to see how potentially the fastest round of qualifying goes along. Christian Steinberger says, come on, Andreas Stiebler. Daniel Sanzo says, what are the dark markings around the starting grid positions?
They They're painted
burnt
bits.
off some marking. Are they painted?
No, they're painted over. It looks like they're previous grid markings that they've painted over. They're effectively in the same positions as the current ones. They're just a little bit wider. Yeah, that is a good point. That's a little bit odd, but yes, it's yeah, they were wider apart than they currently are. The grid markings out there.
Daniel Sanzo says, are the different lines related to more car setup or rostrum position?
A bit of both, to be honest. It can absolutely be where you're stood on the rostrum. If you're stood, as you can see on the screen now, if you stood over on the far left-hand side of the rostrum, you've got a very different view compared to being stood on the far right-hand side of the rostrum of that bank turn that we were sort of discussing about that high line around the middle of it, and like how much of the curb you can see on the entry. And certainly, if you're over on the left-hand side of the rostrum, I think you're going to struggle to see the exit curb. So you're probably going to naturally want to be a bit higher so that you can you give yourself a bit more of a margin. But then you're probably slightly tighter on entry. So yeah, absolutely, rostrum position can play quite a big part in that in how you drive. Typically, I know whenever I'm on a rostrum, I like to be at one end or the other. It means that you're better in some corners and worse in others. You stand in the middle and you're pretty terrible everywhere. Is the normal way that it works. So you might as well take whatever advantage you can get. But yeah, it's absolutely a thing that if you're in a particular rostrum position, it can influence your line of sight that you can see into a corner. And if for a final you end up in a very different position, the etiquette for finals is normally that the driver on pole position, the driver number one, gets first pick of their rostrum position that they want, followed by number two, followed by number three, etc. And so yeah, basically if you're number 10, you've got the dregs, you're on the steps, kind of thing, and the track can end up looking very, very different to what it has done previously when you've been out there on track. And it's quite a skill as a driver to be able to adapt to that. So out on track at the moment, we have got Philip Lischka leading with the number 1 car. Let's just see who that is that we've got. And in fact, that was I think that's the 7 car that we've got at the minute. Let's just see what car we can pick up out there. That's the... Just see who this is as they come through. It's the 8 car that we've got, or the car has number 8 on it, which is Patrick Colliker. Patrick lapping pretty quickly. He's kind of getting involved in a bit of a race that he doesn't need to be getting involved in. This is again this sort of discussion about multiple different lines. They're quick in different parts of the track. Basically, they're screwing each other's runs by not intentionally, absolutely, but they're together on track, and you can't really do anything about it because you can't back off. It's not a practice session; it's qualifying. You'll both lose time, but you'd be there we go. That's kind of what needed to happen for the pair of them, for one driver to make a mistake. Let's see if we can find the leader, the number 5 car. Just try and spot him. 5 car. He's the last of the cars off the bank sweeper now. There we go. It's the white coloured car. This is Corentin de Cret. So you see him drop down the order, and then he fires himself back up to the top. Fastest lap of 14.735. So he's just starting to pick his way through some traffic now. One minute left. See Corentin drop down the order again as Philip Lischke crosses the loop first, then pops back up to the top. He is leading this one by about 0.6 of a second. Into the final 30 seconds now. When you get to this stage of a run, you just want to be bringing the car home. You know that you're on a good run. You know that it's decent. You just want to lock it off. You'll be giving every apex just a little bit of a margin. That was not much of a margin at all as he ran over that curb, and that would have, he would have been, and again, Corentin's going to be fully clenched up on the rostrum. But he's just holding it together. Very, very tight. But yeah, he makes that through. So just misses out on a 21 lapper. And arguably with some of those little bobbles and wobbles over the curbs, he would have made that. And that was kind of unnecessary there at the end. Let's just have a look at that. They'd actually all finished by that point. So that was a... Oh, okay, right. So the car in front of him had a bit of a tank slapper going, coming off of the corner, and as he came off, he was, I've got this. No, I haven't. And dropped himself down the field. So that is heat number 7 done. So on to heat number 8. We're marching ahead aplenty at a pace. Heat number 8 getting set to go.
Jock Carlson is happy not to see bodies painted with the thinnest of white coats. At least from obviously the view online, it looks like fairly decent coats. I remember being at events where they're basically translucent.
Yes, to make them as lightweight as possible. No, they're the thinnest of yellow coats this time. So that's whether that be canary yellow or rosewood yellow or but yes, there's some good solid colours out there. So that's good to see. Makes life a little bit easier. But yes, that is actually another reason that you do see single-coloured body shells, because some of the lightweight body shells now are so thin that the painters don't want to go near them with a knife for fear of, you put a slight knife mark in it to mask, to cut the masking, and you almost cut straight through the shell. You guarantee that it will crack in that area.
Got to say, happy bon appetit to Mike McBride, who is an RC Racing TV hero, and he says it's lunchtime in America. Hello, Mike. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Good to hear people from around the world joining us. Mark Valent going to lead away from Valentino Maglietti, Boris Siladi, Roberto Fabiano, Darko Meister, Yaroslav Kritz, Riccardo Fanili, Flavio Paladin, and Viktor Litvinenko. I think Victor was quite quick in this heat last time. Obviously, this being the first round of qualifying, they've reset their order. But going to wait and see if what kind of pace that Victor's got at the tail end of this. It might take a few laps for him to make his way up towards the front. So Mark Valent is leading this one at the moment. We're running with him with the Candy Floss Pink and I don't know how to describe that blue particularly. He's just heading out onto the main straight now. We'll just give it this lap to see who pops up to the top. And we did think that the 9 car was quite quick last time out, and indeed he's moving his way forward. So let's see if we can find Viktor Litvinenko. He's the blue and yellow car, or the 9 car, blue and white car. He's on the, just sort of exiting the bank sweeper. There we go. In fact, he's just let the leader through, although that's not as big as it seems, because he started out like 9 seconds behind him, so he's already a fair chunk before he did anything. Just seeing we've got a car pulled up in the middle of the circuit that looks like he's got a body tuck. So Victor having a scruffy couple of laps, but we'll continue running with him. It looks like he's got good pace in the car. Let's see how he pops up the order. A little bit leery there. This almost looks like a car where the diff is a little bit thick, maybe. The oil in the diff is... It's kind of wanting to keep on rotating on corner exit when he gets on the throttle. Would possibly benefit from coming down very slightly on the viscosity of the oil in the rear diff. Another slight break into nerdiness. That'll also make the car sort of rotate a little bit harder in the middle of the corner as well, and free it up on sort of corner entry. So might be a valid option for him. But looking decent. He's making some sort of progress. He crosses the line. He's running around the middle of the heat. Let's see if we can find the 7 car out there. He is the white and yellow car. He's just exiting the bank sweeper off the end of the main straight now. It's further back than that. He is just coming out onto the main straight. There we go. This is the car of Riccardo Fanili, an Italian driver running in 2nd position. Looking good, looking balanced. 1.5 minutes left. He is about 2 seconds back off of Mark Valent. When it all plays out, again, he started off 7th, so it takes a little while for it to update. Yeah, what's he, 2.3 seconds back? He'll be aware of that. Just, again, keep it moving, get yourself a good starting position for tomorrow. Hope that it's dry. You can take advantage of that. Of course, form book goes out the window completely if it's wet. Still expect the quick guys to be quick, but beyond that, you might see some surprise names pop up who have got their wet cars pretty well nailed. We'd imagine most of these drivers would have wet cars with them, so specifically prepped cars. If we get any significant break in the action tomorrow because of the weather, we'll try and venture out into the pit, see if we can find some drivers, or find an example of a wet car and a dry car, and maybe explain a little bit the difference between them, between how you'd prepare them differently, and what you'd need to do to make sure that the electronics are able to run in those wet conditions as well. Just coming to the end of that one, so this car we're running with, the 7 car, pop up into 2nd place in the end. Mark Valent has taken that one.
I think the wet car versus dry car comparison would be fascinating. I'm guessing it's not going to be like the last time I filmed that feature was at the Cotswolds, maybe 15 years ago, and they were using pots of hair gel, like empty pots of hair gel, to put the electronics in. I'm
Yeah,
guessing it's not like that anymore.
No, it's moved on a little bit, so maybe it's time to revisit that and have a look at how they might look. So there's more bespoke waterproof electronics that you can get now, and yeah, kind of if we have an opportunity, we'll try and put a couple of cars together so that we can see an example of how the two might differ.
I will say as well, wet racing is a ratings winner, because that same race from the Cotswolds was just a BRCA national from years ago, and we re-released it about 2 months ago. It went not viral, but it got huge numbers. People love to watch wet racing, so it could be quite interesting.
Yeah, it's not round the world. There's not a huge number of countries. The European countries are quite well equipped for running in the wet. I know the Australians do. There are pockets in America that run in the wet, but not necessarily everybody. So who have we got in this heat? We have got David Ehrbar, Simon Horak, Frederick Hovgaard, Adrian Violette, Orlando Fanili, Jeremy Delalondre, Nicholas Storm, Kevin Schmid, and Yasmin Donath. So drivers, you can see on the rostrum, it's everybody's pre-race ritual, bit of a stretch. Bit of a, just make sure your shoulders are free, shoulders are relaxed. It's weird, everybody's got their own quirks, everybody's got their own foibles, and if you can't carry them out, it throws your head off completely, or it certainly does with me. Perhaps that's the difference between people who are good and me. But, it just, I don't know. You have your pre-race ritual, you just get settled into it, and it just works for you. David Ehrbar has led this one away. So David running his usual race paint, the white, blue and black. We saw that in the Formula class earlier as well. Let's see if we can spot his car out there. Yeah, we're following it, though we haven't got it on the main screen at the moment. There we go, that's David's car. And the red car behind him of Horak. Simon Horak has moved to the front, and David's actually opened up and let him go. So let's follow the red car of Simon Horak. If we can move forward onto... He's cutting the grass, such as his desperation to get away. Didn't cost him too much. He managed to keep up the momentum. It will trigger up as a slow lap, but in his head it will feel like a massively slow lap. And he'll think he's left a load on the table. It'll actually come down to, it will be 2-3 tenths slower. Still not necessarily what you want when you've got a few, you're stacking up against people in a bunch of other heats. But we've got Heat 9 coming up next, which is the top heat. I believe. Let me just check that. I'm questioning myself now. I lied. Group 10's the top heat. So there's one more heat after that one. Orlando Fanili leading this one now. In fact, Yasmin Donath's got her way to the front with the number 9 car, so she started out right at the tail end of the field. Let's see if we can find Yasmin's car. She is the pink, black and white coloured car. With a little bit of time There we go, she crosses the line. It's really close between the front three in this one. There's like 0.2 of a second between them. You can see as Yasmin crosses the line, where does she pop up? Okay, so the Orlando Fanili now starting to edge away a little bit. Let's have a look. So Yasmin dropping back very slightly. It's the 5 car that's looking pretty rapid out there at the minute. Let's just see if we can spot him. Five car is the orange or white and orange coloured car just off the end of the bank sweeper. Now coming through under the driver's rostrum. There we go. So Orlando Fanili crosses the line, pops back to the top. He's got some pretty stonking pace in that car. Best lap time 14.270. Not quite as quick as Simon Horak, but it looks pretty consistent. His gap has been edging upwards. He's managed to pull out a second. In fact, Yasmin Donath's coming back at Simon Horak now. So all three of the front three were together pretty much, but Orlando Fanili, who we're running with, seems to have pegged that gap at about a second. Pretty good, pretty comfortable out front with 30 seconds to go. Again, he's just going to want to bring this home. Just keep it rolling, keep it cruising round. And I think Yasmin Donath has retired from this run. She's just pulled into the pit lane. So you'll see her tumble down the order. Simon Horak moves back to the front. And then Orlando Fanili. So Simon Horak will be at the top for about 2 seconds, 1.5, 2 seconds before Orlando crosses the line. They started out car 2 and car 5, so they started out 3 seconds apart. And Orlando currently circulating. Well, he's just finished the run, so 21.304. 864. It's a nice run that he's built and put together there. So now the penultimate heat of stock to come. Time expired. Reason that took a little while for that was because to reflect was because there were still cars that didn't finish that were still circulating fairly late on. So if a car drops out early, then it's fairly easy to say they're not running. But if they drop out with like less than 30 seconds to go, the computer's still looking for them. So that's why you see some drivers not called immediately. You can see a few drivers sat up there now. So Lucas Ellerbrook, Benjamin Elbiser, Alexandra Kunka, Soren Sparbier, Maxime Ripoll, Stefan Schultz, Martin Huddy, Manuel Wagner, and Enzo Rousselan will be drivers taking place in this one. This guy second to the left of the rostrum, he's exceptionally tall. I mean, they're not short guys, those other ones, but he's towering above them.
I hope he's not standing on a box. Paul Worsley will come over from the UK and rip him off it.
Yeah, he does look exceptionally tall, doesn't he? I mean, if we need help putting a banner up, I know who to go and find, but wow. That's, yeah, that's crazy. Lucas Ellerbrook released. everybody is off and circulating. We'll give it a couple of laps, see who drops in at the front of the field, looking quick. Again, these guys will be... they'll think they... Yeah, probably in with a shout. If you're in the penultimate heat, you think you're in with a shout of making the A final. You're typically better being quite often one of the quicker cars in a slightly slower heat than you are being one of the slower cars in a top heat. So I don't think any of these guys would necessarily have designs on taking the overall European Championship, but they'll certainly feel that they could get themselves into the sort of the back half of the A final after a couple of laps. Let's just see. There's going to be sort of 4 laps complete. Lucas Ellerbrook has just popped it on its roof. Martin Huddy looks to be leaving, and in fact Manuel Wagner is the guy leading with the number 8 car. So let's see if we can pick him up. He'll be towards the back of the field. He's the all-white car, just off the end of the main straight and into the bank sweeper. Now heading through under the driver's rostrum. There we go. And this is our leader, Manuel Wagner. So cars hopping out of the place quite nicely in front of him. He's still... Well, he's a 10th down on Martin Huddy that time. But he's back in front now because that's Martin directly in front of him in shot. So pretty close at the front of this one, actually. Let's have a look as they cross the line again. Out in the front of the field. See Manuel Wagner still leading this one by... quarter of a second over Benjamin Elbisser. So he's made his way forward quite nicely with the or stabilised the gap with the number 2 car. Of course, these guys will be out marshalling the top heat, which is set to run next. And see how we had Jan Ratajski quickest over a couple of laps last time out, but we'll see. Look like Simon Lauter probably better over a run, and a little bit of a nicer car to drive. So we'll see what he's got. We've got 2 minutes left to go, and we're still running with the 8 car of Wagner. Looking pretty good now, looking pretty comfortable. A little bit of a hop over the curb. He's still only 2/10 up on Benjamin Elbisser, having started out 6 seconds behind. So taking a little while to update as he crosses the line. It's not going to take a huge amount. It's like 3/10 now he's got the gap up to. Still pretty close. Again, these drivers kind of aware that this may well be the quickest round of qualifying that they do. If there's any kind of rain, this is going to be the score that, or the fastest time that they're going to have set and want to be using for any kind of tie-break scenario. So quite important for them. Should it stay dry tomorrow, then that would probably go out the window. Depends if we have any rain overnight and what exactly that does to the track. Track's going to be in pretty good condition now. It's been dry all day. Plenty of rubber being laid down. Manuel Wagner still leading this one. Still only 3/10 over Martin Huddy. It's not much. Not going to take a huge mistake. We're still staying at that 3/10. So this is really... it's quite tense. It's going to be... it's a bit like a high-speed where... body into their final positions. think, what have we got? We've just finished, and yeah, exactly 0.2 of a second. So Manuel Wagner gets that. Martin Huddy starting out one car in front of him. That's really difficult to judge. Like, how big is 1 second compared to 1 point? Close, but Manuel Wagner takes that one. Martin Huddy second, Benjamin Elbisser third. And we have the top heat now of stock. So who do we think is fast over 5 minutes in this? Well, we know Simon Lauter is very fast over 5 minutes. Jan Rathajski could certainly match him over a lap. Arguably quicker over a couple of laps. And just looks like his car, certainly earlier on in the day, has been a little bit scary. But we'll see how it looks out there on circuit. Ollie Bolting was quick. Enrico Jung seeded himself up into the top heat. Christian Donath, Max Mackler, Gergo Valent, Adam Isay, and Jesper Rasmussen. Again, drivers just shaking themselves down. Stretches, scratch noses, push up glasses.
Having a right old giggle up there, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
We are watching together the EFRA 1/10th Track European Championships, brought to you by Monaco RC. And also thank you to Hobbywing, Tony Sport, Lens Bodies and X-Ray, coming to you live from Türkheim. And we're about to get into the sharp end of round one of qualifying on day one.
Indeed. So this the top heat of the Spec class. Then we just have 3 heats of modified to come after this. And that is our track action for the day. Simon Lauter leads away from Jan Rathajski. They'll just want to get themselves settled in. Here we go, Simon Lauter then. Centre of our shot leads away. Little bit tail happy, Simon's car, but comes good after about 30 seconds or so, or it did appear to earlier. Position swapping all the time, but looks like Simon is pretty comfortably out in front. I think Jesper Rasmussen is somewhere near there with the number 9 car as well. He looks like he's got some serious pace. He's currently 3rd overall, starting from P9. Some good speed from him. All over the place at the moment, the timing screen. Still with Simon Lauter. He is leading this one by around half a second now from Jan Rathajski. Let's just wait and see how this updates. Jesper's dropped off a little bit, but give you some idea the quality of these guys, of these drivers. Just how close everybody is. There's like 3 seconds covering the whole field at the moment on there. Let's see if we can move back one car to Jan Rathajski. He is the... There we go, that is Jan, the white, orange and black car. Again, Jan looking like he had sort of single lap pace, though Simon Lauter, his best time 13.6. Next best time out there that I can see would be Jan with a 13.7. So he's got a 10th in his pocket, and you can just occasionally see Simon disappearing out of the front of shot. Simon now starting to catch and pass traffic. So he'll be coming up to, I believe that's the car of Adam Isay. Yeah, it was. Just saw them flash out of shot, the pair of them. Adam opens up and lets him through. So Jan's coming for Adam next. And that will be a bit of an eye-opener for Adam as well. I mean, he'll be circulating, thinking that his car actually feels pretty good out there. And then you just see a couple of cars come rattling past you. It's a good opportunity as well, though, when you do get passed by a quicker car, to learn exactly where they're managing to pull the pace on you. And Simon's pace advantage that he had at the start seems to be fading. He's just slid past, that's the 4 car of Enrico Jung. So Enrico not been seeded in this heat for practice, just got moved up here for qualifying, and maybe finding the difficulty of being one of the slower cars in a very fast heat. Jan still running in second position with just over a minute to go. Christian Donath up into third position. Max Mackler's got himself up into fourth now. Let's see if we can go back to Simon for the final minute. He is the leader of the cars on the main straight now, through the banking. Simon is the white and sort of dark red coloured car out in front, the burgundy coloured car. We've got him, square in the centre of shot. So Simon's lead over Jan is now about 1.5 seconds. It's just edged up. It's just kind of been relentless for the whole run. He's not demonstrably faster anywhere, but it's a 10th here, it's a 10th there. If they're both on the same 10th, he's in the right half of it. He's just edging tenths and hundredths every single lap over Jan. So Simon will be really happy with this if he can bring this one home. Time has expired, so he just needs to roll it across the line, not literally. So Simon has finished that one. Let's see where Jan comes in. Nearly 2 seconds further back. So Ollie Bultink pops back up in third position. Really close at the end. Christian Donath didn't actually... Oh no, Christian Donath has finished. That was a slow last lap for Christian. So he sneaks up into third position. So Simon Lauter taking that one from Jan Rathajski. Christian Donath, Ollie Bultink, Gergo Valent, Max Mackler, Jesper Rasmussen, Adam Isay, and Enrico Jung. That then is our stock qualifying done. And into modified, let's just get an update on the ranking lists. So Simon Lauter overall in the lead in the top 10 from Jan Rathajski, Christian Donath, Ollie Bultink, Gergo Valent, Manuel Wagner, Martin Huddy managing to pop up into the top 10. Benjamin Elbiser, Max Mackler is 9th, and Orlando Fanili is in 10th position. Overall So just have a check with the other classes. So in Formula, Andreas Stiebler was quickest from David Ehrbar, Michael Lipperheider, Gergo Valent, Chris Grenz, Rainier Haller, Michael Mierke, Aidan Gale 8th, Darren Gale in 9th, Andy Frattaroli in 10th position, Michael Hauptley, Rainier Grimminger, and Michael Freeball. And in front-wheel drive, Daniel Pohlmann, Adam Isay, Soren Sparbeer, Enrico Young. We've got Andy Murray, Stefan Kroner, Sebastian Mederer, Loris Buchholz, Matteo Buchholz, and Emily Rathaiski. Top 10. And we now go into modified. Dai Sakaguchi, Tim Coman, Benjamin Jabira, Florian Wilhelm, Chris Briggs, Marek Sova, Thomas Veltzig, and Jacob Zabrowski. Dai Sakaguchi, I want to say he's led away, but I don't think has he? Yes, he has. He did lead away. It looks like he's running a slightly less offensive colour scheme this time. Just a solid orange. Car doesn't look wonderful though. Just dropping back down the field. So leading, we've got Tim Coman with the number 2 car. Let's see if we can spot the number 2 car. It's the 4 car. You can see, yeah, fairly big airborne accident there for the 1 car of Dai Sakaguchi. He'll be spent the whole day building up to that, and round 1 of qualifying on the first lap, you put it on the grass. Yeah, we've all been there, we've all done it, some more than others. And let's see if we can find the, in fact it's the 3 car that leads. Let's see if we can spot him. 3 car is the yellow car with a black stripe down its roof, just exiting the bank turn now, coming through and under the driver's rostrum. There we go. That is our leader. So these modified cars, quite a lot more powerful than the stock class cars that we have been watching earlier. Not getting there in terms of lap times. Quite a few of the stock drivers, the fastest stock drivers, were sub 13 seconds. Sub 14 seconds on a lap. These guys, Benjamin Jabira, who we're running with, who's just done a 13.9. He's the only driver to have gone sub 14 so far in this heat. Looking good, looking nicely balanced. Traffic is falling out of his way. He started out P3, so he'll be happy with this. There's 3 heats of modified. This should get him certainly a top 20 run, I think, from here. He'd be fairly hopeful of making the B final. Got quite a nice opportunity to do that. Again, traffic really nice to him. Just jumps out of the way. 2 minutes left to run. His lead is about 3.5 seconds. Got an early retirement from Chris Briggs. Tim Coman running in 2nd position with the number 2 car. Let's see if we can spot the number 2 car out there. Dai Sakaguchi seems to have got a bit of a handle on his somewhat evil car earlier on. The number 2 car that's the all-white car, so immediately following this car, if we move back 1 car, there we go, that is the number 2 car. So Benjamin Jabira has caught and passed him, so started out 1 second behind, caught him, passed him, that put him 1 second ahead, and he's now a couple of seconds further down the road, so that's where his 3 seconds total advantage comes from. Wind still pretty strong out there on circuit, cracking flags. We just got a bit of an accident there for the car that we were following of Tim Coman. So he's going to drop down the field when he crosses. In fact, well, he had enough in his pocket that it didn't cost him too much in terms of overall position in this heat. It may do later on. It's opened up quite a big gap. So Benjamin Jabira is now about 10 seconds in the lead. He's given another lap or two, he'd have lapped the field. So really strong performance from Benjamin Jabira. He's come through in a 21.302, and Tim Coman is, let's just see what time he finishes with. It's like 11 seconds, bear in mind on a 14-second lap. So yeah, it's a pretty big advantage there for Benjamin Jabira. It takes that quite nicely.
Are these going to be the fastest laps we see all weekend? That's the question.
Ooh, quite possibly. It sort of depends on what the weather does tomorrow, but yeah, I think there's quite a strong chance that this is going to be the quickest round of qualifying that we see in terms of overall times. So that could be, in terms of points, doesn't make any difference. Could be quite useful for tie breaks, having a fast time. So you want a good score when the track's dry. I'd rather have a good score with a dry track and a fast run than an equal score on a slow track.
Tom's asking, are Orlowski, Hagberg and Reinhard racing today?
They are, yes. They are out in the next heat. So this is the penultimate heat of Modified. We have got Remy Callens, Antoine Brunet, Tim Wahl, Christopher Krapp, Marco Kaufmann, Dimitrios Yanidis, Matthias Knopp, Michele Manzo and Jose Pereira in this heat. But yes, the aforementioned will be out in some 6 minutes time. Yeah, they'll be out there on the circuit and available for us to see what's going on. Driver's being called with 30 seconds left to go. Driver's focused. Remy Callens leads away from Antoine Brunet. We're running with Remy Callens out in front at the minute with the number 1 car. We'll follow him for a couple of laps and see how everything settles down. You can see the car looks balanced as you'd expect. He nearly made the top heat. He'll probably be kind of secretly quite glad that he didn't sneak in there. That's not a nice, not necessarily a nice place to be up with those absolute superstars. Of course, you get a little bit of a toe, but it's not always the sort of conducive to having a blisteringly fast run. Remy Callens pretty close with Antoine Brunet. So let's see if we can move back one car. Antoine one car further back. The plain white coloured body shell. These two seem to have made a bit of a break for it out in front. Marco Kaufmann is not a million miles behind them either. He started out like 4 and 3 seconds respectively back. Remy Callens leading this one from this car that we're watching of Antoine Brunet by around half a second at the moment. You can just see Remy Callens disappearing out of shot. Remy having to pass some traffic. Still looking at Antoine Brunet as he's catching passing traffic. So through on that traffic, that didn't fall at a particularly good place there for Antoine. He had got himself to the front. That's allowed Remy to shuffle himself up to the front. There's like 2 tenths between them. Pretty close. This sort of high-speed chase going on around the circuit. Remy still leading from Antoine by there's like a couple of hundredths. It's really close between them, so we can kind of see both of them in shot. Looks like Antoine was a little bit closer that time, and he was. So he's got himself like 2 tenths in the lead. So this is actually the leader that we're running with, operating on the split, running in front of Antoine Brunet. Sorry, this is Antoine Brunet, Remy Callens, and Marco Kaufmann now hits the front. So 3 cars covered by less than a tenth of a second. We will just wait for a lap or 2 more before we go to Marco Kaufmann. He is the number 5 car, so I will just start trying to locate him on circuit, just so that we can see where he is. He is the like metallic green car, just coming off the banked sweeper, heading round under the driver's rostrum now. There we go. That is our number 5 car of Marco Kaufmann, who moves to the front, and he's now leading this one by about 2 tenths of a second. So really close to the top 3. Marco Kaufmann, Remy Callens, Antoine Brunet. Let's just see as they cross the line. Marco Kaufmann back to the front there's like 2 tenths in this. So really close. I'm not sure that the other two, Antoine Brunet and Remy Callens, sort of having a bit of a ding-dong battle out in front. They only started a second apart. They'll know where the other cars are. But Marco Kaufmann is going to be a bit of a surprise to them. They're probably not going to know. Marco Kaufmann now down in... Oh, no, he's back up to the front. 45 seconds to go. He's now got the lead up to a comparatively comfortable 8 tenths. Antoine Brunet dropping down the field, so I think we have some kind of a problem for Antoine. Marco Kaufmann back up to the top. It is about 8 tenths now, and these two quite comfortably ahead of the rest of the pack. Kaufmann has got it up to 9 tenths now, so his pace is good and strong all the way through to the end. Makes it through onto that extra lap. He's got a second in his pocket now, has Marco Kaufmann, so just needs to bring this one home, which he does successfully. Crosses the line, so 23.304. And 1.2 seconds in the end. So Remy Callens just going a little bit soft at the end of that. But we have got one more heat of track action today. So final heat set to go. And Eric Dankel has seeded first. Then Bruno Coelho, Ronald Volker, Mark Reinhard, Michael Olowski, Robert Peach. We've got Alex Hagberg, Alessio Meniciucci, Yuri Weisin, and we have got Oliver Havranek as our top 10.
Well, if you've just tuned in, ready for the top heat of mod to go out for their first round of qualifying, well, thanks for joining us. You've missed a couple of hours of great racing, great dry racing. It might be the only one we get for this weekend. We hope it stays dry, of course. But there they are, top guys out, ready to go to their first qualifying. Tom's saying it's wonderful to see how consistent they're all driving.
Yeah, absolutely. As you start getting up to the heats, it's they're just relentlessly brilliant. All of these guys are. You look at, I mean, what are we looking at up there on the rostrum? 3 world champions, 4 European champions. In fact, four world champions can see up there. Like multiple European champions. Yeah, this is a stacked field. So anybody that gets anywhere near the A final is going to have done exceptionally well here.
Indeed, this is the one you've been waiting for, and thank you to Monaco RC. This live stream is brought to you by Monaco RC. It's the EFRA 1/10th Track European Championships coming to you live from Türkheim in Germany. We're crowning 4 champions. Oh no, we've agreed we're crowning 3 champions and 1 cup holder this weekend, and we want you to be with us every step of the way. And we thank Hobbywing, Tony Sport, Lens Bodies, and X-Ray for help making this better than it could have been. There we go.
Eric Dankel set to lead away then with whatever colour that is that we... Yeah, some kind of yellow. Eric Dankel leads away then. Off down there. It's yellow, but not as we know it. Eric leading away on this one. He had some really good pace all throughout, and a bit of a... he was starting 1 car behind Bruno last time, and just literally drove up the back of Bruno and kind of forced Bruno into a mistake, which is very, very odd to see Bruno making those kind of mistakes. But Eric Dankel leading this one from Michael Orlowski, Robert Peach up there supporting Eric Dankel, as is Ronald Volker. So Mugen 1, 2, 3 at the minute for Dankel, Volker and Peach. Eric Dankel looking super comfortable. One minute in, Eric is like 0.2 of a second. No, in fact, Ronald's now pegged that back. It's less than a 10th. Bruno's now got himself involved as well. So Bruno must have done a stonking lap somewhere. Yes, he has a 12.519. It's the fastest lap of the run so far from Bruno. Let's just see, Bruno's now hit the front. So if we can move back 1 car. It's the all-white coloured car of Bruno Coelho. So Bruno returning the favour. Eric sitting in behind him last time and turning the screw. Climbing all over the back of Bruno and frightening them off the track. Bruno now starting out P2. He's got himself in front on the split. Not by much, but it's enough. It's 0.5. It's not going to take much for that at all to change. Still just over 0.5. Relentless consistency from both of these guys. You see Eric Dankel out the front of your shot. We're focusing on Bruno Coelho at the moment. Obviously world champion, multiple European champion. exceptionally talented Portuguese driver. And Bruno now looking like he's just edging towards Eric. Eric started out in front and managed to sort of flick to the top. Ronald Volker's not out of this. He's only 3/10 back from Eric Dankel. 2 minutes left to drive, so kind of a thrilling battle going on. That's not really a battle. They're just operating and chipping away at each other on the splits. Eric's going to kind of have Bruno in the back of his head, and he's sort of thinking, yeah, is that, how big's a second? How big's that gap at the start? Is that a second? It's like, it is. Bruno's 3/10 in front, but it's really difficult to judge that. Bruno's got the gap up to like half a second or down to half a second between them on the track. At this point, you start to know really that you're definitely in front. That's much easier to spot. But even so, it's like one mistake. It's not really even a mistake, just overcooking it slightly into a corner, and off you go. Bruno well resistant to that. Still leading by half a second at the moment. Bruno Coelho looking like he should take this first round. He is like 6/10 now. Michael Orlowski's got himself up into third position. He's only 9/10 off of the lead. Ronald Volker is like 1.2 seconds off the lead in fourth position. Mark Reinhardt's like 2 seconds off the front, and he is in fifth. So super close between all of these guys. 15 seconds left though. Bruno Coelho, he's not going to catch and pass Eric Dankel on track. He doesn't need to. He started out 1 second behind. So they're going into their final lap now, these top guys. Bruno leading this one by about 0.8 of a second now. And I think Eric will be very glad to hear that he's finished as he crosses the line. And Eric throws it at the line. You can see the car backwards there. So it's just trying to gain a tenth. So Bruno Coelho takes that one from Eric Dankel. Michael Orlowski in third position. Ronald Volker, Mark Reinhardt, Robert Peach, Alex Hagberg, Yuri Weisin, and we had retirements from Oliver Havranek, and Alessio Menicucci. Early dropouts from that one. Shake of hands there between Bruno and Eric, congratulating each other. All of the drivers up there on the rostrum congratulating each other. Just having a bit of a debrief. Debrief up on the rostrum, figuring out exactly what's going on. Pretty certain that Bruno's going to have been the quickest overall in qualifying. Let's just see if anybody else has snuck into the top 10 that we didn't expect. So who have we got? Bruno Coelho quickest from Eric Dankel, Michael Orlowski, Ronald Volker, Mark Reinhardt. Here we go on screen. So we can see guys from the previous heat, Marco Kaufmann, Remy Callens, Christopher Krapp managed to slot themselves in to the back end of the top 10 there. And you can see their best runs up there. That's going to be potentially quite critical if we get the forecast rain tomorrow. But that is our track action for today.
Robert Peach, he's not there, is he?
Robert Peach is here.
There?
He is, yes.
Oh, okay.
He's in sixth position, yes.
Wow. There you go.
Robert, so yes, because he was in Villarreal last week, wasn't he?
He was, yes, he was.
So
I mean,
it is his job. Obviously, he's Mugen's like chief designer, effectively for the on-road platform. So that's his role. That's his job to be there supporting it. So they're Mugen's big on-road classes. So that's why he's there, predominantly as support for Eric and Ronald, but yeah, he's obviously a very proficient driver himself.
Well, there you go. That's it. Opening ceremony next. And so we'll bring you some images from that on Facebook later on. But I guess we're back tomorrow morning with more qualifying.
We are, yes. We'll find out tomorrow morning what the exactly what the score is. So there's a team manager meeting tomorrow morning. There's rain forecast. We'll wait and see really what happens with the rain, whether it's forecast all day, and exactly what happens with qualifying, whether they do sort of shortened practices. We'll have to wait and see. We'll bring you that. We'll have to work a little bit on the fly with that, but we'll be, as soon as we can get live, we will be.
Well, this has been the Monaco RC EFRA 1/10th Track European Championships Day 1 in the books. Thank you to Hobby Wing, Tony Sport, Lens Bodies and X-Ray. Thank you to James. Trackside.
Thank you, Matt. No, thank you. And thank you to, obviously, Ash and Zach as well for their great work in helping to keep this stream up and running.
Exactly. Cool. Right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.